Real Virginia is proudly produced by the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation. Since 1926, Farm Bureau has been working to preserve Virginia farms and our rural heritage. Visit our website at vafb.com.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Real Virginia, a show about Virginia agriculture and the people who produce the wonderful local products we enjoy. Brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau. This year's Virginia Agriculture in the Classroom Teacher of the Year has shown students how to help a garden thrive despite pandemic challenges. We're heading into landscaping season, and Mark Viette shares guidelines for planting trees near your home. And several Virginia farm families are being recognized for their efforts to conserve natural resources.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Welcome back to Real Virginia, everyone. We're coming to you this week from Overhome Farm in Goochland County, a 2020 Clean Water Farm Award winner. We'll explain why that's important in a bit, but first, Burke Muller introduces us to another award winner, the 2021 Virginia Agriculture in the Classroom Teacher of the Year.
This year's Virginia Agriculture in the Classroom Teacher of the Year is a first grade teacher working with kids in the Shenandoah Valley. Phil Satoli has emphasized composting and all the gardening benefits that come with it to his students at Lacey Spring Elementary School in Rockingham County.
We've been able to compost all of our cafeteria waste, and from there it grew into our school-wide garden program.
His efforts to turn waste materials into a new crop were so successful they were expanded to reach the entire school.
I started with my class. It was about a class of 20 that started, and then they taught the rest of the school how to compost, and then it became a school-wide program where from pre-K through 5th grade all took part in composting and helping with our garden.
Satoli switched from a career in retail management to teaching at age 40. A passionate gardener himself, he was also honored in 2019 by the Shenandoah Valley Soil and Water Conservation District for starting the school garden and compost program.
Phil is a natural-born leader. When I came to this school almost 3 years ago, I recognized that in him. Once he realized that he could head up a large garden project, he took off and ran with it. He has helped to set up and design and implement a composting program that benefits all of the children from all age groups here at Lacey.
He really showed the interactions of the whole school with the garden concept. That is something that we look for each year as we look for our Agriculture and Classroom Teacher of the Year.
As Programs Director for Virginia Agriculture in the Classroom, Maxie has seen how educators have had to adjust how they teach during the pandemic. The challenges were even greater for teaching agriculture, a subject that traditionally calls for a hands-on approach.
Many educators this year have had great challenges in teaching virtually and a hybrid level, and then also in person, but with a lack of the ability to do that tactile hands-on learning. All of our educators really show efforts to be able to meet their children wherever they are, whether they're on the other side of a plexiglass in the classroom, or whether they're at the end of a virtual screen, or maybe just through work packets, depending on how they're able to interact with their children.
Satoli and his students faced a full shutdown last spring, but more interaction became possible in the months that followed.
COVID shut everything down, but then we had word that we were going to be able to bring our summer school students back to school. And so we started small with summer school, and they helped plant the garden, they helped plant our fence lines, they helped, I received some donations from a local greenhouse, they helped plant flowers over the summer. And then when we came back to school in September, we still didn't know if we were going to be back or not, but we were able to come back in September just pre-K through 1st grade. And then we took up gardening from there. It's like all of the teachers were able to use what we planted. We did cooking lessons. The kids helped clean in the garden, they helped rake leaves for the compost. So we just kind of went back into our normal routine, only wearing masks.
Virginia's Ag in the Classroom program is respected across the nation. Last year's Teacher of the Year, Pamela Hall, went on to receive the National Excellence in Teaching About Agriculture Award.
The goal and mission of Virginia Agriculture in the Classroom is to connect children with where their food and basic needs come from. We call that agricultural literacy. Each year we connect with over 400,000 children, either working with them directly, working with families this year under the pandemic, that has been a huge emphasis, and working with their educators to meet their needs.
The Ag in the Classroom program has helped meet teachers' needs during the pandemic by providing plenty of online resources at va.agclassroom.org. There's also a Virginia Ag in the Classroom Facebook page and a Virginia Ag in the Classroom YouTube channel that includes virtual field trips. Children can go on these trips with their families or their teachers or by themselves and learn how agriculture impacts their lives. Satoli and teachers around Virginia have used many of these online resources for their virtual lessons, but are looking forward to using the hands-on lesson plans once the pandemic passes. In Rockingham County, I'm Burke Moeller reporting.
As early as the 1920s, agriculture leaders were concerned that the public was losing touch with America's rural heritage as the population shifted to urban centers. That's when the concept of incorporating agricultural education in schools was planted. In 1982, the National Agriculture in the Classroom program became official under the sponsorship of the U.S. Department of Agriculture. The Virginia Foundation for Agriculture in the Classroom was created in 1987 with the continued support of the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation. Today, AITC is reaching millions of children across the nation with curriculum tools that highlight the continued importance of agriculture in our nation's economy and culture.
I'm Mark Viette. Coming up on In the Garden, I'm going to talk about how close you can plant trees to your house. Stay with us.
We're stronger together, especially at this difficult time. For over 90 years, we've watched our membership grow, and we're honored to be part of such a special community. Thank you to the farmers who provide for us every day. Virginia Farm Bureau is proud to serve our members, their families, and to give back to our local communities. That's the Farm Bureau way.
It's important to leave some space to allow trees and shrubs to grow near your home. Mark Viette shares some guidelines in the garden.
One of the issues that you're going to deal with in planting trees around your gardens and in your house is tree roots. Just take a look at this 40-foot long tree root. And this was in a septic system, one of the septic lines that found its way through one of the cracks. And this, by the way, is a weeping willow tree root. So I always recommend planting weeping willows way away from the house. You know, a lot of people love the shape of weeping willows. They're nice, they weep, they've got a beautiful characteristic to them. But they love wet areas and they seek them out. So this is not a tree that you're going to plant close to your house, nor are you going to plant something like a sycamore. Sycamore also has very strong roots and they can get into your foundation. Now, especially if you have a poor foundation, those roots are going to find their way through your foundation. Some houses have very little of a foundation if you're looking at some of the older houses that you might find. And then maples, just generally speaking, many maples, especially the silver maple, has a lot of surface roots and they also can seek out water and affect some of your piping systems. So those trees either should not be planted or planted way away from your home. A common question I get is, what can I do with all these tree roots? Well, certain trees produce a lot of surface tree roots. Some trees produce mainly a taproot that goes straight down. you really can't trim the roots. You know, if somebody says, oh, I got a root here, here. If you look at all these roots and you start trimming some of these roots have a diameter of 6 to 8 inches. That could damage the tree itself. It could also damage the support of the tree, keeping the tree from blowing over against your home. The other problem that tree roots give us is you can't take a shovel and dig or plant a plant. If you look around here, very few plants have survived around this gumball tree, which not one of my favorite because they produce all those gumballs in the fall. So the idea that you need to keep in mind is pick trees that don't produce surface roots like this, because eventually they're going to give you a problem. The other thing to keep in mind is if you're thinking about planting a tree close to the house, you need to take the diameter of that tree. Let's say a tree gets 60 feet wide. You take half of the diameter, which is 30 feet, and then I add another 10 or 15 feet to that. So I will not plant a tree closer than 45 or 50 feet or more from the house. Two things: you won't have tree roots around the house so you don't trip on them, and the tree hopefully will not fall on your house if your house is far enough. One of the things that you're probably going to want to be able to do around your trees is plant shrubs, perennials, ground covers. And here the shovel goes in, and this is a tree. It's one of my favorite trees, the golden rain tree. But I always learn, with the good, there still may be a few bad things. My dad personally kind of doesn't like this tree because all through the garden, the seeds germinate and you have all these little plants that he has to weed. Some other great trees that you might consider are the new hardy dogwood trees. You can grow under those dogwood trees very easily. And if there are any surface roots, there's not a lot. American holly you can grow under, great tree. Magnolias, now not the southern magnolia with the shiny leaves, but some of the magnolias that lose their leaves are fantastic trees that you can grow under. Another tree that you can grow around that really is probably one of my favorite trees is the hardy crepe myrtle. Getting back to all those tree roots, what can you do? Well, one thing, and it's expensive, you can remove the tree and have the roots removed, or just leave it be, don't walk through it and just have the roots give you that beautiful effect, or you can mulch it with maybe 2 or 3 inches of shredded pine bark, a bark that doesn't break down quickly. So those are some things that you can do with trees with a lot of surface roots. I'm Mark Viette. Join me next time in the garden.
For more garden tips, go to inthegardenradio.com.
Hi, this is Tammy Brawley with The Green Kitchen. Coming up on Virginia Heart of the Home, we're going to do roasted root vegetables, turnips, rutabagas, beets, carrots. Stay tuned.
And now, a sneak peek into a day in the life of a Virginia dairy cow. They get their day started. They have some lunch. Get some exercise. Spend time with their friends. And then end their day with dairy sweet dreams. Real dairy, real life, real delicious.
Comfort food isn't always meat and potatoes. Chef Tammy Brawley shares some tips on using flavorful root vegetables in your winter menus in the heart of the home.
Hi, I'm Tammy Brawley with The Green Kitchen. We're here with Virginia Heart of the Home at Meadow Event Park. And today I want to talk about one of my favorite things to do, and that is eating in season. Right now in these cold weather temperatures, we love to do roasted root vegetables, and what I've got for you is a selection. These are Virginia grown, I'm very happy to say. Some came from Old Tavern Farm, some came from Tom 10 out in the Old Bay. And what I've got here is I have got some turnips, I've got rutabagas, parsnips, and I've got some carrots, and I've got some fresh rosemary. I don't feel like I have enough carrots in this batch, so I'm going to go ahead and snag one from my display here. Delicious organic carrots. And we'll cut the core off. The thing about roasting, or really any cooking, not just roasting, you always want to cut about the same size vegetables, no matter what. If you start to cut too small, then your smaller ones are going to disappear. You're not going to see them or be able to eat them. But if you want to cut in the bigger sizes, they will cook at about the same time. Really important to do. So I've got a beautiful orange carrot here. I'm going to toss that in with these vegetables, with the turnips and the rutabagas, parsnips. If you've never tried a parsnip, you really should. It looks like a carrot, but white, but tastes nothing like a carrot. Really very savory flavor. I love parsnips. And rutabagas, we were talking about those earlier today. I love a rutabaga. It's a little bit of a sweet flavor. It's got a kind of a golden yellow color to it. When you get them, you'll see that they've been waxed, and that's just to protect the outside. You certainly want to wash the vegetables, but the waxing, you won't be able to wash that off, but you'll be able to cut it off. So what we've got is we've got all these delicious, gorgeous vegetables here. Beautiful, beautiful color. We're going to toss with a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of kosher salt, and some coarse ground pepper. You want to get those nice and mixed up. You want to have your oven preheated, and all ovens are different. I've worked with a lot of different ovens before. All ovens are different. Yours at home might be less strong than mine, it might be stronger than mine. So you want to know your oven. I suggest roasting at about 400, 425 or so, and you want to watch. I would say something smaller, as I just mentioned a moment ago, something smaller takes less time to cook. These, given this size, will probably go in about 15 minutes or so, but I would say set a timer for 10 minutes and check. What you're looking for are nice little brown edges around the cut sides of the vegetable, and then they'll be done at that point. So we're going to pop these into the oven, and we'll be right back. All right. After about 15-20 minutes, our roasted vegetables are ready, and this is how pretty they are. I absolutely love this color. Anything colorful is always going to be much nicer to eat. Ask any 4-year-old. So now we've got some delicious roasted vegetables here. We're going to platter those. You might remember I tossed them with some fresh rosemary, a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of kosher salt and pepper. Beautiful white platter. What a gorgeous presentation. So there you have it, roasted root vegetables. We've got parsnips, rutabagas, beets, carrots, and turnips, all Virginia grown. Thank you for joining us today. This is Chef Tammy Brawley from Virginia Heart of the Home, and we'll see you next time.
Recipes from the Heart of the Home can be found on the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafb.com/recipes, as well as on Chef Tammy Brawley's website at greenkitchenrichmond.com.
Turnips, parsnips, and carrots are all popular root vegetables, along with beets, onions, radishes, yams, garlic, and rutabagas. Most of these nutrient-packed foods are available all year long, but they tend to taste sweeter and stronger from fall to spring. They're often cold, hardy plants, meaning that with some extra shelter, you can grow them almost through the winter. Early spring is one of the best times to plant these crops so they can mature before temperatures turn too hot. Experienced gardeners usually start their own transplants for these root crops, since most garden centers don't offer transplants before late spring.
Spring planting season is almost here, but protecting and improving water quality is a year-round priority for many farmers. Ricky Gibson reports on some recent success stories on farms in Central Virginia.
Every year, Virginia farmers and other rural landowners invest thousands of dollars to modify their landscapes and operations, all to reduce erosion and improve water quality. Recently, several of them were honored with the 2020 Clean Water Farm Award, like Ronnie Knuckles of Goochland County. He started improving his cattle farm a decade ago and has seen major environmental and health benefits for his livestock.
I think primarily the main effort we've done here is we have excluded all of the streams, the ponds that we have on the farm. We have a 35-foot buffer around all the water sources. With cattle, water is a natural attraction. They're going to go to water. It's just, you can count on it. And when they do, they make a mess. They erode the banks, they soil it, they waste in it. So the main effort was to get the cattle out of the streams. In addition to that, through Monacan, we did a rotational grazing plan, which allows us to keep a better stand of grass on our pastures. It eliminates the cattle from overgrazing. It actually allows us to manage the cattle instead of letting them maintain and roam the farm as they choose. But it gives grasses time to rest, and as grasses rest, the roots grow deeper, you get a hardier stand of grass.
Bill Morris and the Chisholm family of Louisa County are also 2020 Clean Water Farm Award winners. Their property is right on Lake Anna, and they've been working to improve their cattle operations as well.
We worked through some water exclusion programs through the State Soil and Water Conservation District. We've put in 2 deep wells, pumping somewhere 40 gallons a minute that are feeding 18 watering troughs. We've got 18 paddocks, a good rotational ability to rotate between paddocks. So we put in about 3 miles of underground pipe, 18 waters, probably 6 to 7 miles of fencing.
Main goal, clean up Chesapeake Bay. This stream that we're standing beside is within a mile of the James River. And so you say, well, it's just one farm, how much difference can it make? But you add enough of these little farms together, it has a big impact on what we're trying to do.
Farmers are accustomed to taking the long view in their operations, and it can take years to rebuild soils or install expensive fencing and wells for cattle. That's why most clean water plans are broken into smaller steps.
We did it in 3 different phases. The first phase was about 120 acres, 150 acres. We learned some from that and went to phase 2 right after we finished phase 1 and liked both of those, and then we went to phase 3. So in total, we've done about 450 acres in the program. Kept a lot of cows out of the lake. From the cattle's point of view, the less that they have to walk, the better it is for them. We're giving them clean, cool water, 50-degree water, as opposed to 60 to 80-degree water out of the lake.
Initially when I started, I thought the boundary exclusion was it. That's where we'd stop. But it's like going through a hallway with a number of doors. You go through one door and then you see another one in front of you. So that first door opened up some other opportunities, and they're just unlimited training opportunities and ways to learn in this field. NRCS is always doing stuff. Virginia Forage and Grassland Council, another great organization, and they have pasture walks, they have field days, training sessions, and all dealing with how to manage cattle and do it in a conservation way.
Each Virginia farm has unique needs. That's why professionals like Keith Burgess with the Monacan Soil and Water Conservation District are essential. They know there's no such thing as an off-the-shelf conservation plan.
We understand this is a long-term commitment, 10 to 15 years for a lot of these conservation practices. So we want to help you think 10 to 15 years in the future to develop a good product that you're going to be well satisfied with. It's not a quick turnaround project that's going to happen in you come into the office and say, hey, I want to do this. You're not going to get this done in a month or 2. It's going to take time for good planning. This is customized to your farm, it's customized to the terrain, it's customized to the water sources you've got, how you manage your cattle. Are you moving them on a daily basis? Are you moving them on a weekly basis? You know, how many head do you have? We take all of that into consideration. I've been in this job for 30 plus years now, and I will present you with multiple iterations of a project, and change those iterations until we come up with a customized plan that meets your goals and objectives and meet the conservation needs of your land.
It's a learning process because we went from a huge rotational pattern where we were rotating in 200 acres down to we're rotating in 20-acre paddocks. So you learn, it's much more critical on when you rotate. You know, they can overgraze, they can undergraze, but they're always ready to move. If you walk up to a gate, they learn very quickly, oh, it's time to go.
I think we saw maybe a good part of the benefits the first year. Just having the pastures divided, we were able to manage the rotations, control the length of time that the cattle stayed on any particular area. We were able to save some grass for different seasons. It's a year-round event. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Improvements like these are happening all over the state. Many of them are linked to federal or state conservation programs. Others are not. To better document the contributions Virginia producers are making toward a cleaner Chesapeake Bay, the Virginia Farm Bureau and Virginia Cooperative Extension conducted a statewide survey of producers this winter to collect details about all the voluntary farm practices farmers are using to improve the environment. Planting cover crops and following nutrient management plans are some of the other practices that may not have been documented in the past. The confidential survey information will be added to the state's report to the Environmental Protection Agency for documenting nutrient reduction loads under the Chesapeake Bay Watershed Implementation Plan.
This is our effort to accurately or better report the best management practices that the agriculture industry in the Chesapeake Bay watershed in Virginia are utilizing, and we want to give ourselves credit for the good things we're doing.
Burgess estimates it can cost a cattle farmer an average of $700 an acre to put in improvements like fencing and watering stations. Some of that money comes from state and local cost share programs, part of the annual budget for local soil and water conservation districts. It's important to show all the contributions Virginia farmers are making toward cleaning up the bay. But these practices aren't just environmental improvements, they're good business.
I didn't expect all the side benefits, and these are financial. I mean, my cattle are bringing a better price because they're grazing a better grass.
Bill Morris says his family is very involved in conservation programs, and he believes the family patriarch, Lewis Chisholm, would be proud of all they've accomplished and how it's improved their farm operation.
The soil and water people know what they're talking about. You may not always agree with everything they tell you, but they've got the science to back up what they're telling you.
The science proves that working together, farm by farm, Virginia producers have been doing their part for decades to improve water quality on their land. I'm Ricky Gibson reporting.
We're so glad you could join us this week to celebrate all the bounty Virginia has to offer. From the kitchen, to your home and garden, to our beautiful wide open spaces, we are proud to say that this is Real Virginia. For everyone from the Virginia Farm Bureau, thanks for watching. Make it a great week.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart, oh.